Hello everyone, it's Attacker2 here, and for today, welcome back to one of my review videos where for today's topic we are about to discuss, we're going to be talking about the latest DLC pack that recently just got released not too long ago for the Cuphead game, being Cuphead the Delicious Last Course. Now, this was such a long wait to happen ever since its announcement back in 2018. When it first got announced, it was supposed to come out in 2019, but almost every year we've been getting a bunch of delays due to either real life stuff happening, development times, and obviously due to the pandemic. But now with it finally out, the question is it worth waiting and worth the price for your game, for your Cuphead game? Because the one thing that got announced before it was released was the surprise. As surprising enough, it was gonna cost $8. That is pretty small for a DLC that has been quiet and been delayed almost every year since 2018. But that's why in this video I want to be talking about what sort of content they offer in here and whether or not is it worth it and how great it is or not. That's why we're gonna be talking about in this video. And so with that, let's not waste time. Well, let's review the Delicious Last Course. Now, the first thing we have to discuss about the DLC and Cuphead itself is that Cuphead is pretty much known for its cartoony style based off from the 1920s and 30s, and it definitely shows. And not only that, with its extremely hard bosses, great gameplay, and especially its fan base pretty much growing this franchise every year with two seasons of a new Netflix show and such. But is the DLC really worth it? Well, what does the DLC have to offer? Well, aside from Cuphead and Mugman, we got ourselves a new character, Miss Chalice, who is actually a pretty unique character. Unlike Cuphead and Mugman, she has a double jump and she parries whenever she dashes. That is definitely a unique thing. However, she's sadly not going to be a third playable character, if you're wondering. Instead, she's basically a character that you can control if you have a certain charm. So, in case you ever play as Cuphead or Mugman, just use the charm for Miss Chalice, and then after that, you'll basically play as the character. But like I said, she has a really unique moveset, and especially her supers also being unique alike Cuphead and Mugman. So that's one new character, but what about the rest? Well, first off, Cuphead is known for obvious, it's very hard and sometimes difficult bosses. The bosses for this DLC is about 7. Yep, that's right, only 7 bosses, 6 major and 1 secret boss. Yeah, it is pretty small comparing to the original game's bosses with over at least I think it was 12, and I guess if you want to count the mini bosses, just over 20 at that point. However, and speaking of mini bosses, there is actually mini bosses in here, according to this King of Games section. If you don't want to fight the regular bosses, then look no further with these challenges, and you can face a few mini bosses along the way. So, yeah, even though the major bosses are pretty small, it definitely is one of the most great and also fun bosses to fight, and especially, obviously, they are very difficult as usual. Another thing to mention about this DLC is that unlike the original game, this one doesn't have run and guns, and while I wasn't really a fan of run and guns, it definitely had more of a charm in it, as run and guns not only pretty much give out a nice little level platformer design, it also pretty much gives out more items and weapons for you in case you are struggling against a boss, because coins are pretty much scattered throughout all those run and guns, and especially that if you are really not having a great time with the boss, you can basically buy these items thanks to the run and gun sections. I'm kind of a little sad that they removed it, as it also lengthens the game as well. But speaking of abilities, they also do have some new weapons, such as the Converge, the Twist Up, and the Crack Shot. Well, the Twist Up and the Crack Shot are actually, you know, sort of been there ever since the first Cuphead game, since the original Cuphead game. But Converge is kind of new, by the looks of it. And we also got new charms, such as the Astral Cookie, which is the charm I was talking about in order for you to play as Miss Chalice, and also a couple new charms as well for your DLC. So for your characters as well. So yeah, that's all I can say about the extra content. We got a few major bosses, a few new items, and that's pretty much about it. How does the music go? The music, in my opinion, is still great as it is. The music is in like Cuphead, it always gives out a nice little 1930s cartoonish style, and also pretty hypes it up even if you die from the same boss a lot of times. It also gives out a bunch of improvement in case you are struggling against said boss and all. Along with some of the other features I mentioned, there's also 14 new achievements for the DLC. So if you are an expert and an expert at playing Cuphead, playing the entirety of Cuphead, then you can basically play the entire game and also achieve more achievements like, you know, I don't know, going extra hard with the bosses and all. That's all I can say about it. And really, the DLC overall, there's also one thing I have to mention, and that's the fact that it is kind of short in case you ever are pretty good at it, in my opinion. But the question is it truly worth it? I will say is that it all depends on how it is. But in my opinion, the Delicious Last Course was really worth the wait. All the bosses are fun, and you can basically strategize how you're supposed to beat the boss in every way. Yes, that's the original Cuphead game like usual, but with the DLC bosses, they can be a little more difficult even if it's just a small amount. And especially with the mini bosses along the way, if you don't want to do the main story mode for a while. Really, the Cuphead DLC, and also, how can I not forget, it's fantastic animation. The animation, great as always. Studio MDHR definitely knows what to do with their audience, and I can't really wait to see what else the Cuphead franchise has to go. Since the Delicious Last Course, I will assume that this is the part for the Cuphead series, but we still got its Netflix show for next month and all, and I feel like there's a lot more to say about Cuphead in the future, but I want to know all your thoughts and opinions down below about this. What do you all think of the Delicious Last Course DLC for the game? Do you think it was worth the $8? Like I said, it is definitely worth it if you really want that extra story, new movesets, and some more challenges for the bosses. I want to know all your thoughts and opinions down below, and so with that, leave a like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell for more videos, follow my Twitter, and if you guys do not want to subscribe, then that's completely fine by me. And remember this, once a legend, always a legend. Like a Hellcat.